And good afternoon. Welcome to this week's edition of the Panthers Sports Report. We are live from Raising Cane's at 26302 Spring Cypress Drive, right off of Highway 290 in Cypress, Texas. I'm Dr. Mike Prince, and the Panthers head football coach, Shotgun Willie Simmons. The Panthers celebrate 2016 homecoming with a victory, come from behind victory over Alabama State. A lot of action off in the air. A whole lot to talk about this week, a bye week for the Panthers, as the Panthers will get ready to take on the Rice Owls, but we'll get into that when we come back from our break. You're listening to the Sports Report on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
To be a champion, you must win. 10 teams strive, but on Judgment Day, only one can rise. December 3rd in Houston, Texas. Be a part of the experience at the 2016 Toyota SWAC Football Championship in NRG Stadium. A champion will rise. Visit www.swac.org for more information.
Hello, this is Dr. Mike Prince with the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Just want to remind you that we are in the middle of our listening partner drive. For one small donation of $72 a year, you can help us continue to bring you shows like the Willie Simmons Show, the Mike Prince Show, the Sports Report, and all of our local, high school, and regional coverage. Your donation does make a difference. Visit our website today at OBN-Radio.com and make your donation today.
And welcome back. This is Dr. Mike Prince and Coach Willie Simmons for the Panthers Sports Report. Coach, welcome to this week's edition, man.
Glad to be on.
Well, glad to be on. Glad to have you on, man. An exciting game. Another nail-biter. A slow start for the Panthers, but they end up rallying around the gates, if you will, to pull out the victory. Go ahead and give us a summary of what was seen from the sidelines point of view.
Well, it was a great win for the program. Hard-fought game. SWAC's a tough football league, and every week it's tough to win football games in this league. And the guys did a great job of overcoming adversity. Dug ourselves a hole early with early turnovers, early penalties, which gave them extra possessions on offense and allowed them to score 2 quick touchdowns. And we moved the ball, and a couple of penalties backed us up, and it's hard to overcome third and extra long. So, again, more self-inflicted wounds than anything else. And once the guys settled down, began to play better football, smarter football, we were able to do the things that it takes to win the game. And I thought the defense did a great job of keeping us in the game. After they got up 14, they shut them out the rest of the game for 3 quarters and an overtime period. So tip my hat to the defense. They really played a stellar football game. Special teams did enough to win. And then offensively, losing our starting quarterback in the second quarter, Jalen Morgan came in and did a fantastic job for us of moving the ball and giving us a chance to win the game. A huge drive at the end of the game, 78-yard drive, backed up on the -1 with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. He grew up a lot on that drive. And but again, it was a great win for the program. Great to be sitting here at 4-2 overall, 4-1 in the conference, and still with a lot of our goals intact for the season.
Exactly. Now, you speak about the stellar play of the defense. I'm pretty sure you are aware of this, but the defensive line or the defensive unit for the Panthers is leading the conference with 25 sacks, and they're number 2 overall in the FCS. So the defense has been as advertised throughout the year as they are taking care of business and going back and forth. You got to be pleased with the stability that Coach Street has brought on the defensive side. Big play, big line play. I'm in particular favorable toward the big guys, your Malachi Jean, your James Harper. You even put Billings in on the line, and that linebacker stand him up in the 2-point position sometimes. So you got to be pleased with your overall play of the defense on this side.
Oh, no question about it. Like you alluded to, Coach Street's done a phenomenal job with that unit of giving those guys a voice, giving them a personality. They take after him. He's a very intense guy, a passionate guy about the game, very knowledgeable about what he does. And those guys are showing that week in and week out. So, we're leading the conference in sacks, second in the country. And if we finish a couple of sacks and have a couple of assignments or guys hitting the right gaps, we'll probably be leading the nation in sacks by a wide margin. We still leave a lot on the field, but can't be more pleased with the way those guys are playing right now. And like I said earlier in the year, we're going to need them to continue to play at a high level until we work some kinks out offensively and begin to consistently move the ball and score points a little bit better.
Now, you spoke about the moving offense, and I know that you hold in high esteem the ability to be called the offensive genius that you've gained the reputation of. Now, how do you compensate the struggle that's been going on? There was a quarterback change, but that was due to injury. And with the play, you spoke on how Morton has grown up with that drive. He inherits the team down 17-7, backs against the peripheral wall, and then he gets put in a situation where it is do or die. And he has the ball at the 1 yard line, 2 minutes, 19 seconds remaining in the game. And he has the task of either putting you in a position to win or putting you in a position to go into overtime as a result of what happened on this past Saturday. How are you working through? And I know it's a lot of moving parts. You had to mix and match with the line during the course of the game, keep battling injuries. And just when it seemed like you got a line together, you got to rotate and pull some other things though. How frustrating has this been for you as a coach?
I wouldn't use the word frustrating. I think that's part of coaching. If you do this long enough, you're going to face one of those years where injuries are going to hit you, are going to hit the program. Graduation is going to hit the program. Attrition naturally hits every program year in and year out. And it's the important thing is to make sure that you're doing a great job in recruiting, of making sure you have enough players to fill your roster, so that if someone gets hurt, there's another guy that can step up. Or when you lose a big group of seniors, that you have a lot of guys coming in or that return to the team that can give you a chance the next year. And we're not making any excuses for any of our offensive struggles. At the end of the day, it falls upon me as the head coach. It falls upon the offensive staff to figure out who we have that can play, that we can play with. Find 11 guys that we can play with, and that will do the right things, that won't turn the ball over, that won't beat ourselves. And that's been the biggest thing. Our Achilles heel this year has been turnovers. Last year, we led the conference in turnover margin. Right now we're probably in the bottom half. And it's because the defense is doing a pretty decent job of getting them, and we're just giving it up too much. 4 turnovers in the first half last week, uncharacteristic. 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. And so we got to do a better job of securing the football. The quarterbacks have to do a much better job of being smart with the ball. Both interceptions I thought could have been avoided if we just throw the ball away, and live for another down. So trying to press too much at times, trying to make too many things happen instead of playing within the offense has been our biggest problem. But if we just, this off week will give us a chance to really focus on some fundamentals, offensively, defensively, and in the kicking game, and hopefully get us back to a place where we play smarter football, where we're not necessarily beating ourselves.
Now, Coach, you just spoke on something real high, and you and I joke a lot. There are 3 sensitive people in the world of athletics. Your quarterback can be a sensitive individual, kickers can be a sensitive individual, and pitchers can be a sensitive individual. Now, with the pandemonium that's going forth, you pull from behind to win this game, homecoming festivities, everybody is going crazy. Was there a moment where you had to look at your starting quarterback, Trey Green? Did you have to give him any assurance at that time of what's going on, because guys begin to, think, as you said, you've thrown more turnovers and interceptions this year than you have really in the last couple of years. You got 10 interceptions in particular by Green. He's watching his understudy, if you will, take and drive. Was there anything you had to say to him to reassure him that he's going to be okay?
Well, the biggest thing that we had to worry about with Trey was his health at the end of the day. He went out because of a knee injury, and he's had a history of knee injuries in the past. So our primary concern, aside from winning the game, was to figure out how hurt he really is. And we're still waiting to see that. We'll have an MRI to determine the extent of his knee damage. And we felt during the game that it was severe enough that he couldn't return to the game. And so we made a decision to go with Morton. He understood that. He understands why. And he was Jalen's biggest supporter, encouraging him during the game. He really did a great job. I'm really proud of Trey. During the game, he was really standing up, helping the defense out, calling out some things that he saw. Of course, Mark Orlando was his coordinator. So he saw some tendencies in some of the things that they were doing, and he was able to help make some calls to help the defense out while they were on the field. So really happy about how he responded to being injured. You know, he could have sat back on the bench the entire game and kept the towel over his head, but he didn't do that. He got behind his defense. He got behind his backup and really did a great job of trying to be an extra coach on the field. And so I'm really proud of him and how he responded. And we'll evaluate his injury and see where we go moving forward. But, again, we have confidence in Jalen, and we still have confidence in Trey to get the job done. And we just got to continue to coach them, continue to encourage them and motivate them, and do our best job as coaches to bring their best football out of them.
Well, you had another career high performances by two of your receivers, Lestrap and Smith. If I'm not mistaken, Lestrap had 106 yards in reception, and you had 102 yards reception for Lestrap, and 94 yards by Smith. And during the crunch time, it seemed like that Morton was feeling comfortable by either getting Smith or Lestrap. You would line Smith up sometime in that fullback position, let him slide out, or you put him in the slot. So you got to be comfortable or feel good about how comfortable Morton was going in such a pressure situation, because let's look at it and be honest that you got to win out just to stay relevant from the Western Division of this conference.
Well, you know, the thing about a quarterback is you like big targets. Lestrap 6'4". You know, Cam's a hybrid tight end fullback body type, so he's a 250-pound guy, and it makes it an easy target for the quarterback. So, he did a good job of finding Lestrap. Trey did as well. He ended up with 6 catches for 102 yards. Cam has a really big catches for us. Of his 4 catches, 3 of them were really critical catches. The first catch was a third down conversion. The second catch was the huge 50-yard completion down the field, coming out of our end zone. And then his last catch was the 4th down catch on the slant route that kept the drive going. So really did a great job of making himself available. He's been a kid that's been in the program for 3 years now, been in this system for 2 years, really understands what's going on, and he's not the most athletic guy. He's not the fastest guy. I think he's still probably getting a breathing treatment from the 50-yard run he had during the game. But he's done a great job for us this year of being our move guy. You know, he can line up out wide. He can line up in the backfield. He makes us very versatile because you don't always know what we're going to be. And so we're proud of him. And then Lestrap, had another big game for us. And we're going to need that. We're going to need him to continue to establish himself as a viable threat in the receiving game, being that Cadaro's still out. Quentin Bell's still coming along as a receiver. And our numbers are getting lower and lower as far as our healthy guys. And so we need him to continue to play meaningful snaps for us, convert some big plays for us like he did in the game Saturday. And he's got a chance to be a really good player. So, we just got to find the 11 guys at the end of the day. Find 11 guys that we can roll with. We have a whole bye week to figure that out. And hopefully we'll get some guys back from injury. Cadaro's still coming along with his ankle. Hopefully that'll be ready to go. And but in the meantime, we'll keep coaching Jalen up. We'll find out what's going on with Trey. We'll hopefully get some of our offensive linemen back healthy that can help us out with our depth and give us a chance moving forward, because like you said, we're in a tough division, and we're definitely going to need to try to win out if we're going to have a chance to represent the West in the championship game.
Well, we're here live with Coach Shotgun Willie Simmons at Raising Cane's at 26302 Spring Cypress in Cypress, Texas, right off of Highway 290. The Panthers victorious over Alabama State by the score of 24-17 in overtime. Now, Coach, let's go back to that big catch by Smith on the 4th down, 4th and 5, I think it was. He picks up 11 yards on the reception. But prior to that was a little bit of controversy. It looked like Morton was injured for a moment. Medical attention came out to tend to him, which technically it would have been him for a sit-out for one play, but you guys were able to get a timeout called in, and it created a little mishap, if you will. Could you explain how all that unfolded?
Well, he took a big shot. He ran a quarterback draw with him, and took a big shot from the safety. It was a clean hit. The helmet hit the safety shoulder pads, hit Jalen's shoulder pads, and I think the impact of the blow kind of shook him up a little bit, more of a shoulder bruise than anything else. But we had a timeout left. We had 3 timeouts, matter of fact. And the rule says if a player is injured, you can exhaust a timeout to keep him in the game. If you don't call a timeout, if he has to come out for an injury timeout, he has to sit for a play. But since we had timeouts available, we burned one, and that allowed him to stay in the game. So we didn't do anything illegal. The officials didn't drop the ball on anything. Everything was within the rules. We burnt the timeout. We gave him a chance to come back to the game on a big fourth down play, and he converted for us. So it was funny because I had to relive a situation that I was in college. My freshman year at Clemson, I was the backup, also red-shirting, kind of like Nico Hollins. And Woody Dantzler, who was the starting quarterback, went down against Florida State. It was about the 8th game of the season, and I was about to go into the game and burn my red shirt for a couple snaps. And I had my helmet on, ready to go, and same thing. They burned the timeout. Woody was able to go back to the game, and I was able to preserve my red shirt. So it's just funny to kind of relive that moment. Then one thing about that then during the game, of course, thinking about the best play call to get us a chance to convert on fourth down. But again, Jalen's a tough kid. He bounced back from that big hit, came in and made some big throws after that, and had some huge runs in overtime for us, and really did a great job giving us a chance to win the game.
No doubt about it. Now, your counterpart, Coach Jenkins, had a little pit fit over there on the far side over there. They almost had to tie him down to get some explanations done for him. And you got to kind of chuckle to yourself when you see that going on the other side.
Well, Jenkins is a fiery coach. He's a very intense, passionate coach. He's not going to let anything slide. And if he thinks he's being or his players are being mistreated or I don't want to use the word cheated, because of course we know officials will never cheat. But if he thinks a call has been missed, he's going to let them know about it. But again, I have the utmost respect for Brian Jenkins. Our relationship extends before we both got into the SWAC, and he's doing his record doesn't indicate the type of coach he is and the type of team he has. Those guys are very close to being 4-1, in the conference, as opposed to 1-4. I think the only game that kind of got away from him was Southern. The rest of the Alcorn game came down to the wire. This game came down to the wire. Texas Southern, they were up. Texas Southern came back in the fourth quarter. So, they're a football team that's played some good ball, missed some opportunities to win some games. But Brian Jenkins is a fine coach, and I have the utmost respect for him and what he's done for that program. And but that's the nature of the game. You're going to have those moments, and of course, if you see me enough on the sideline, you'll see some moments when I have some words for the officials and try to do it respectfully. But again, we care about our guys, and we work too hard to have a situation where we feel like they're not being put in the best positions and protecting them. When I get upset, it's about protecting my players. If I feel like a player's getting cheap shotted or held or hit from behind or pushed in the back, pass interference, things of that nature, I sometimes have words for the officials, because again, I want to make sure I got to protect it.
Well, a lot of people don't even know the history that you and Jenkins at one point almost became a dynamic duo at one time. Is that true?
Well, I interviewed with him before I took the Alcorn offensive coordinator job, where he was at Bethune, and so had a chance to meet with him, visit with him for a day, talk some football with him, and we share some stories about our past and where we've been, and commended him on the job that he was doing there at Bethune. But again, I have a ton of respect for him. Known him for a while, and I consider him a colleague in the profession, and definitely pulling for him. I want to see him do well. I want to see all these coaches do well, because SWAC has some great coaches, and I don't think we get the credit that we deserve on the national scale. But there's some quality coaches in this league, and coaches that if you paid $5 million to and gave them, 5-star recruits, like a lot of these other big programs, that they'll be able to go in and win a bunch of games and conference championships as well.
No doubt about it. Coach Willie Simmons of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers advanced to 4-1. Can you believe that we're 6 weeks into the season already? It seemed like we just got started. Now, Coach, you and I, it has become almost like, as Yogi Berra would say, deja vu all over again. Third down conversions has really been the challenge, but it got a little bit better this past weekend, 6 for 16. When you hear that compared to 9 of 20 for Alabama State, you'll take those odds on every given time. Explain the setup on how important it is on both sides of the ball of keeping your teams, in our case, offensively on the field and defensively off the field.
Well, the staple of our offense, the thing we talk about the most in this offense, is first downs. We don't talk about points scored. We don't talk about yardage. We talk about getting first downs. If you get first downs, you'll end the game with a lot of points. You'll end the game with a lot of yards. And that's what we were able to do last year. And so for us this year, again, our Achilles heel has been third down. We're not atrocious. We're in the high 30s, which is about average nationally. You would like to be in the upwards 40s. And if you're over 50, you're doing a really, really good job. I think last year we were 45%. We led the league, and so it's a weekly struggle to try to get back to that level of consistency on third down. The biggest thing is to be good on third down. You have to be really good on first and second down, and penalties is something that's really hurting us. We're getting ourselves in first and 20 situations, second and 15 situations. It's a lot harder to convert third and longs than it is a third and 2 or 3. I mean, just simple logic and common sense will tell you that you got a higher percentage of completing third and 3 than you do a third and 10. And so when we do well on first down, when we don't have penalties and false starts and holding calls and things of that nature, we're pretty good on third down. But when we get those penalties, our conversion rate goes way down. So, again, continuing to stress fundamentals, playing smart, using good technique, and giving ourselves a chance to convert third downs. If we can, on the flip side, defensively, we got to get them off. We got to find a way to get them off. And same thing, a lot of those early third down conversions were because of penalties. We're jumping in the neutral zone, so that gives them a free play. And now the quarterback can throw the ball up for grabs, and a couple of them they converted. And but we gave them extra opportunities with penalties, and we can't do that. And once we stop doing that defensively, those guys played a lot better from that second quarter on.
Well, just as always, the defense showed up with a couple of big sacks toward the end, in particular during the overtime part of this contest, which was another potential controversial score by Caleb Broach on the what was given credit for a 14-yard run, a fumble recovery in the end zone, and Broach gets it for it was a delay in the call, and they would discuss it and everything. Can you explain that, how that would unfold for PV Nation that's listening right now?
Well, Jalen made a phenomenal play on the third down scramble. I think it was 3rd and 10. He dropped back, and Alabama State defensive lineman had him dead to rights and hit him in the back. But Jalen's 6'4", 230 pounds, so he was able to shake out of the tackle, and he scrambled for the first down right around the 15-yard line. Next play, we ran Broach on the outside run to their sideline. He made a nice cut, got up the field, had the ball in the wrong arm. Of course, he's a true freshman, so it's something that we're going to get worked out today at practice. But he got stripped at probably the 3-yard line. The guy tackled him, and the ball started to come out. Well, Caleb recovered his own ball, and he recovered it on about the 1-yard line. So, again, it wasn't a TV game in the sense where it could be reviewed. And so when things move fast, you're going to miss some things. And his feet might have been out of bounds when he recovered it. It could have been, could not have been. I don't know. But he recovered the ball inbounds. That I mean, as far as in the field of play, not in the end zone. That much we do know. So Jenkins was pretty upset because the rule is if you fumble the ball into the end zone, that's a touchback. So, again, no points for us. Alabama State would have had the ball with a chance to win the game, and that's probably what he was arguing. But worst-case scenario, it would have been 1st and goal at the 1-yard line because he did recover the ball in the field of play. His feet were close to being out of bounds, so if they would have determined that because he did recover his own fumble, he was the first to touch it, so there's no penalty for illegal touching or anything like that. Had he recovered it out of bounds at the 1, then you spot the ball dead right there. It's 1st and goal from the 1-yard line, and we still have the football. So they gave us the touchdown. It's one of those bang-bang calls, could have gone either way. But, again, happy they went our way, and we won the game. So not going to cry over spilled milk. Again, it's a bang-bang, tough call for officials to make in the heat of the game. Their angles aren't always as good as people see the TV. People look at TV, they got perfect angles. And they got slow motion, instant replay. They can rewind it. Of course, when you're calling that thing live, you got to make a decision right then. And he checked with the official to the sideline to see if he thought he was out. Of course, he saw him recover the ball and fall into the end zone, and he subsequently gave him a touchdown. So it's just one of those deals, and we were happy to be on the positive end of that ordeal.
Well, the Panthers have 6 different receivers to get involved in Saturday's contest. In particular, Demario Lestrap, 6 receptions, 102 yards, with his longest reception of 24 yards. Cameron Smith with 4 receptions for 94 yards. His long of the 52 yards. As Coach said, he's still taking breathing treatments for right now. Then you had Joshua Simmons had 4 receptions for 51 yards, and, of course, the 24-yard touchdown reception from Trey Green in the first half to get the Panthers the lead cut in half. And Raymond Jackson, who has been a little on the shelf for a little while, but it was good to see him get back in. He got involved with one reception for 18 yards. And, of course, there was a Darius Floyd sighting in a critical time of the game in that second half when there was an extension of the drive, and Floyd was able to catch a little out pattern to keep the drive going on for the Panthers. And you got to be, of course, you have Russo. Now, Russo has been a pleasant surprise. He didn't get any reception. He had one in his direction, but he's been running some good routes and being secure and holding that ball down on the PATs and the field goal attempts. So what is the status for a guy who I know you're missing very much, and that is Cadell Hodge? What's his status right now?
Well, he's continuing to rehab. He began some jogging last week with our head athletic trainer, and we're trying to slowly bring him back. The thing with the ankle injuries is they're so sensitive because what you don't want to do is rush him back. Cadell's a guy that prides his game on changing direction and agility. And when you have a high ankle sprain, that pretty much takes that away. If anyone's ever had a high ankle sprain, they know you can run straight ahead with minimal pain, but the moment you try to plant your foot in the ground and change directions, you get a sensation up your leg that you don't want. And so it really makes it difficult for someone like Cadero, who's a receiver who has to do a lot of cutting and changing directions. It makes it very difficult for him to come back and be as effective as he needs to be. So we're trying to slowly bring him back. Jalen Coleman had a similar injury in the first game. Jalen missed about 4 weeks. We brought him back against Grambling. He tried to play against Grambling, and then we had to shut him down last week because it flared up on him and he wasn't healthy. So the last thing you want to do with Cadero is rush him back in a game like this week maybe or next week, Rice, and he plays a little bit, has a little bit of success, but he's so banged up that you got to sit him for Jackson State for that last 4-game conference run. So we're going to rest him as much as we need to, continue to let him get treatment, get his ankle better, and hopefully if we can't get him back next week, hopefully by Jackson State we can have him going about full speed, because again, when he's playing, he makes us a lot better football team just because again he's long, he's athletic, and he's hungry. He wants to really be a great receiver. I think up until this game, he was still our lead receiver. He hadn't even played the last 3 games. So show his effectiveness and what he's able to bring to the offense. But he's a hard-working kid. He's a tough kid. And if he could play, he'd be playing. It's not a deal where he wants to or doesn't want to play and we're trying to force him back. He wants to be in there. And if we felt it was in his best interest to play him, we definitely have him on the field. So just continue to rehab him, and hopefully we can get him back before long so that he can help us be a better offense.
Well, we're here with Coach Willie Simmons at Raising Cane's at 26302 Spring Cypress Road right here in Cypress, Texas. When we come back, we'll talk about the Panthers as they head into the bye week to get ready for their next contest against the Rice Owls, and we'll see what all preparations will be involved for that. We're going to take us a quick break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Panther Sports Report right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
To be a champion, you must win. 10 teams strive, but on Judgment Day, only one can rise. December 3rd in Houston, Texas. Be a part of the experience at the 2016 Toyota SWAC Football Championship in NRG Stadium. A champion will rise. Visit www.swac.org for more information.
Hello, this is Dr. Mike Prince with the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Just want to remind you that we are in the middle of our listening partner drive. For one small donation of $72 a year, you can help us continue to bring you shows like the Willie Simmons Show, the Mike Prince Show, the Sports Report, and all of our local, high school, and regional coverage. Your donation does make a difference. Visit our website today at OBN-Radio.com and make your donation today.
And welcome back. We're in our final segment, Coach. As always, as they say, time flies when you're having fun. Coach Shotgun Willie Simmons and the Panthers victorious over Alabama State 24-17 in overtime to stay relevant in the Western Division of the Southwest Athletic Conference. Panthers have a bye this week. They'll be taking on the Rice Owls out of Conference USA. When you first line this thing up, Rice was a bowl team, if I'm not mistaken, on last year, going 6-5. They're struggling this year, but what are going to be your preparations to take on this FBC or FBS opponent this coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Well, this week will be a lot of fundamental work. Whenever you have a bye week, the one thing you want to do is work on things that during the season you may not have as much time to work on because you're trying to get in game preparation. So, being that we don't have an opponent to necessarily prepare for this week, we'll spend a lot of time on us, really looking at film, seeing what we do well, trying to complement that, and seeing what we do not so well, and trying to find ways to get better at that. So, this week will be about getting healthy. It'll be about maybe trying a couple of new things out, and then we'll get those young guys who hadn't played a whole bunch of those redshirt guys. We'll let them kind of scrimmage a little bit this week to give them some action. So it'll be a good week for us. Gives our coaches time to get out on the road and recruit a little bit, try to get ahead for next year's recruiting class. And but again, it's coming at a perfect time for us. We're pretty banged up after playing 6 straight games against some tough competition, and it's about time that we get a week off to kind of heal up a little bit and get ready for this last 5 games.
Well,
the schedule.
The Panthers getting ready for the backside of the season. Coaches, midterm, it's time for us to grade. We're going to get a grade for the offense, a grade for the defense, a grade for special team, and then a grade overall for the teams. Starting with the offense, what's your midterm grade?
Right now, offensively, we're still growing as a team. We lost some really good players from last year's team, and you can never gauge the impact of losing really good players when you feel like you have good players coming behind them, which we did. And Trey hasn't played at the level he's capable of playing. Of course, we all know that with the turnovers and the completion percentage. Up front, we really struggle with our consistency. There are a lot of factors that play a part in that, with injuries, with misses because of class or other obligations and things of that nature. So we haven't really been able to establish our ground game the way that we would like to. We've done it in spurts, but we haven't done it consistently enough to really make us a formidable offense. So right now I'd have to give us probably a C. Again, doing enough to win, but not enough to really take some of the pressure off of our defense. Special teams wise, I think certain games we play lights out, and in other games we've been kind of average. So I'd probably give us a B-, a C+ in the special teams aspect. We have returned a punt for a touchdown this year. We've covered better on kickoff, definitely than we did last year. We haven't blocked the kick yet. That's the glaring thing that we haven't done that we did a lot of last year. And field goals, we're less than 50% on. So made a big one the other day to send us in overtime, but definitely got to be more consistent in that. And we'll definitely want to continue to work in that phase. So, again, about a C+ in that. Defensively, I kind of throw the Texas A&M game out the window a little bit just because of the nature of who we played. But if you look at our SWAC games that we played so far in the 5 games we played, I'd have to give those guys probably a B. Again, they played extremely well. They got constant pressure on the quarterback, and they're leading the nation, or leading the SWAC in sacks, second in the nation in sacks. So they're getting good pressure on the passer. And just got to clean up some assignments, clean up some things as far as our blitzes and when we twist and stunt up front to eliminate some of the bigger runs and plays. But, again, I'm really pleased with the way the defense is playing right now. And, again, I tip my hat to Coach Street, Coach McDowell, Coach Kohler, Coach Garcia, and Coach Sharp for getting those guys ready to play week in and week out. And we'll need that as the season progresses because we will continue to face some high-powered offenses in this league, and you got to be able to stop some people.
And then overall as a team, that's going to average out to about a C then, right?
Well, we're 4-2 overall. We're 4-1 in the league, so I'm always more critical than probably I should be. You'd like to say a C, but, again, we're sitting there at, I guess you could say, 3rd in the conference right now. But Southern hadn't lost and Grambling hadn't lost. But we're in a good position. We're not in a great position. Great position would be 5-0. But we're 4-1 with 1 loss to Grambling. And so the one thing about this team is they found a way to win games when they had to, other than the Grambling game. Texas Southern, we were down, came back and won. The other day we were down, came back and won. So statistically, you'd probably be a C. But as far as effort, as far as willingness to win and finding that it factor to get the job done, trusting each other, you have to give them an A because, again, those guys are really bought into what we're selling as far as being a team, believing in one another, believing in the coaching staff, never quitting. And so I'm happy in that regard. I think we got to do is we got to grow up a little bit, mature a little bit in certain areas, continue to focus on the details of what we're doing and learning everything about the scheme. Being in year 2, there's still some things about the offense and defense that we can learn as players to get a little bit better. So, but I'm pleased with where we are. I'm a perfectionist, so until we're perfect, I'm never going to be satisfied. But again, there are a lot of coaches around this league that you'd ask right now, they'd much rather be 4-1 than where they're sitting right now. So, I can't complain too much about where we are, but it's my job to continue to work hard, and we will do that. And we'll continue to get better, and we won't quit until they tell us we can't play anymore.
Well, Coach Shotgun Willie Simmons has spoken. The Panthers overall a C and an A for effort. They are midway of the season, 4-1 in conference play, 4-2 overall. Have a bye this week, but they'll next resume action against the Rice Owls at Rice Stadium in Houston, Texas, and that kickoff will be at 2:30 Central Standard Time. Our pregame show will start at 2 p.m. Until next week, Coach Willie Simmons and I'm Dr. Mike Prince. We are going to sign off for now. Thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to keep all action and updates with the Panthers as they go for the next road win on October 22nd. I had to get my dates right. October 22nd, they will take on the Rice Owls. Until next week, be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.